Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Crafty Rhea and I'm here for another episode of Recycled Christmas Cards. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I love to recycle Christmas cards. And even though it's April, I think it's great to get going so we have them ready for Christmas. So if you have some Christmas cards laying around, get them out and let's get crafting. I'm going to start with this Christmas card here I received from a friend. Actually, she sent me two of them. They're recycled. They were probably sent to her business. So there were two, and I'm going to take them and make two cards out of each one. This Christmas card originally measures about 8 inches wide by 5.5. But as you know, most of the time we make A2 size cards, which is 5.5 by 4.25, and this is obviously too big to fit on there. So I can cut this image into two and make two Christmas cards. I don't normally do black or black and gold, so this is stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit, but we're going to have some fun with it. I have a couple of ideas for these cards. So the first thing I did was I made up a whole box of A2 size card blanks. And this is just a tissue box. I just folded the edges down and then it holds them perfectly. So I can make up a whole bunch in advance and just have them ready to go. And then I took this card and I cut the cover off and I cut it exactly in half. So I have two pieces. And they fit perfectly on this with some room on the bottom for a ribbon or an embellishment. So that's what we're going to have fun with today. So we're going to make 4 cards, one with each of these. So I will cut this second card in half. And what I want to do is I'm cutting, see how it has this opening here? I want to cut this piece off so I can use it as a border later. And I want to do that first while I have a lot of the other card to hold on to. So I'm going to put it in my paper trimmer where it's lined up just perfectly with that edge. And then I'm just going to cut that border off because we may be able to use that on another project. And then I'm going to cut this bottom piece off here, cut those little legs off, and I'm going to put that just over the line there. And of course I would throw that piece away. Julia Childs, throw it on the floor. And then I'm going to cut this piece off. I'm going to put the crease just on the other side of my cutting line. There. So then we have that piece. Now if you have really long or unusually shaped envelopes, or you don't mind making a long envelope, this would be a great card by itself. I'm going to cut that crease off of this paper while it's in my trimmer because I can either use this as a saying inside the card, but I think it's going to be too wide. Sorry for that loud noise. Yeah, I think it's going to be too wide for the inside of these cards. But we can save them for another card, or we can save them for plain black cardstock, whatever we really need them for. So I will put these aside. And then I'm going to cut this in half. And this is just over 8 inches long. So I'm going to cut it at just under 4 inches. I always get mixed up on this crazy cutting board because I'm not exactly sure where the 4-inch mark is. Okay, I see it now because I think there's a gap in my ruler there. So I'm going to cut it there. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I have these two. I did a pretty good job getting them cut in half. I don't usually use this paper trimmer unless I'm going to craft day. This is the Cricut, and I really like it. It does cut really nice. I like my big tonic cutter better for at home, but it's harder to use on camera, especially with my new camera setup. I don't have room. It usually sits right here, and I don't have room for it with this camera setup, so we're going to do the best we can. So that leaves me with 2 of these and 2 of these. So let's start with these guys. I don't need, this is my template that I made that I can hold up to cards and measure, but I don't need that for this card. I did go through my metallic paper and I did find this copper color and then this gold. It was from some sort of packaging. It's a very thin gold. And I think it does go pretty good with the gold in the back. However, I'm thinking I like the copper better with it. And it doesn't quite show up on camera as good as it does in real life. It really does match nice. So I'm going to use this copper to matte the, I think I'm going to do all 4 in this copper. I might as well make it easy. So this scrap just happens to be the right size for my card. As you can see, I just need to cut the bottom off. It measures 4 1/8. So I'll cut the bottom off 1/8 of an inch shorter than 5 1/2, which is 5 3/8. So there's 5 1/2, and right there is, I don't know if you can see a good 5 3/8. And let me see if that's going to be good. Yes. So I want to cut 3 more pieces that same size. So this came from a pad of paper and it has the little glue up at this top. So I don't want to use that end as an important end. So I'm going to cut this at 5 3/8. And then I'm going to cut this one at, what did I say it was? 4 1/8. Okay. I'll only be able to get 2 going this way because it's bigger than 4. And then I just need 1 more, and I will cut this at 4 3/8, or 4 1/8, I'm sorry. And then this at 5 3/8, and I want to cut off that end there. I want my scrap to be nice and neat, so it's easy to use later. Okay, there we go. All right, so I have 4 mats. No, there, that's not a mat. I was wondering why they were such different sizes. And I just want to make sure that they are the same size and that they line up with my paper just right. Some of these are a little too wide, I think. This one's going to be too wide. This one's going to be too wide. Yep, I'm going to cut a sliver off of these. I misjudged that mark, that 4 1/8 mark. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm going to have to mark this ruler on here to make sure I get the right marking, or learn where it is in my head. Okay, yes, they're all the same size now. So I have 4 of them. So I'll do these 2 first because I want to do something different with those trees. And these are going to be, I think, pretty plain. I think I could leave it like this. I could come in and cut that black down a little more so there's more of a border on the end. I think I will, but I'm going to take it off of this side. Otherwise, the Season's Greeting is going to be too uneven. I'm just going to cut just a little sliver. I'm just eyeballing it. Whoever receives your card is not going to be measuring it, unless it's Val. And Val, if you're watching, you tell me if you would measure the cards I send you. Probably not. I'm just teasing. Val's one of my best friends, my BFF, and we tease each other about this kind of stuff all the time. There we go. So that gives it more of a boxed, a framed look. And then I need something for the bottom. And I went through all of my stash of glittery ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree. This ribbon is wonderful because it's perfect and it doesn't really have fallout. It doesn't shed anywhere, so it's really kind of cool. I also went through some of my other gold ribbons, but I think I like this the best with it. It adds some dimension and some sparkle. So what I'm going to do, I think I'll use these scissors. These are my sharpest scissors for fabric type things. I'm going to cut off those little hairs that stick out, because they drive me crazy and I cannot be having any of that. Okay, and then I'm going to see how many I will need to make it perfect from one end to the other. And I'm going to cut it right to here. There. And I might as well do another one for the other card, since I'm going to make 2 of the same. They also have sheets of this at the Dollar Tree. They have rolls of it, and they have spring colors out now. So they have pinks and aqua and stuff, and they have big sheets of self-adhesive. I like the sheets better for card making, but I wanted to use this up because there's not much more on this roll. And then we have that. And I think that is going to be the basis of this card. So get my handy dandy tape gun. We used to have a joke on one of the boards I used to be on about how we were dangerous with our supplies, like our tape gun. And remember the big old Sizzix, the big heavy one that you used the lever to crank down? We would say that we could hit someone over the head with that if they tried to steal our stash. Stuff like that. And by stash, I mean craft stash. There we go. I don't know. If they had other stash, then that's none of my business. All right, and then we have that. And I think since this already has dimension, I don't want to compete with it, and I'm going to put this flat down. Yeah, we would wrap them up in tape. We would cut them with paper and pour alcohol on it. Oh, we had lots of things we would say. All right, I'm going to try to line this up so it's pretty even on all 3 sides. Okay, to adhere this down, I need to use some really good adhesive. And I think I will be using some of this. It's my ribbon tape. But I want to hold the middle down first, so I'm going to do this. Put 2 pieces of this adhesive down there, and I'm going to put one of each of these because it's about the same size. I'm going to put one of each on each end. There we go. Oops. Well, here we go. If I need to make a bloopers video. There we go. There. Okay. And then I will put this down. End to end. And then any that's left over, I'm just going to push up underneath. There's a little bit of glue that sticks out, but if you take this and you push it up, it will work. My next one I will trim. Okay, there we go. And that's held down really good. That glitter tape really, really holds it down. And then this adhesive is enough just to hold this middle piece down so it doesn't go all over. So there is one card done. And I'll do the other one. Let's see if I can do it without messing it up as much. Okay. And when I put these on my cards, I line up the top corner and I line up the bottom corner. So it gets on there in a nice fashion. And it's pretty even. Okay, and then we'll go with this piece again. Put 2 pieces of this. And then I'm going to trim this one. I have to find the beginning. These are hard. There we go. And when I'm trimming it, I don't know if you can see, there's a neat end and a sloppy end. I'm going to trim off the top portion because it's a sloppy end, is what I call it. It's more globby. Okay. And then I learned my lesson. I'm going to burnish it down so it really sticks to that paper, especially since this paper is kind of glossy. Things don't like to stick to it as much. I think if it was regular cardstock, I could get away without using these ribbon lines. But since it is glossy, I want to make sure it's on there really good. There we go. So I have 2 of these. They're both the same, but as you can tell, it only took a few minutes to do them. So if you have Christmas cards that match, put them all together and then you can make a whole bunch at once. All right, this one's going to be a little bit more intricate. I have this here, and I think I'm going to want it trimmed down a little bit to kind of make it the same as the other, although, let me see how I'm going to do this one though. I think I have this ribbon, I have this one piece of trim. This Christmas tree is kind of, it's silver, but it's also like holographic. I don't know if you can see it real good on the camera. And I wanted more than just silver. I wanted something a little bit more, and this trim has some holographic features to it. So I thought, I wonder if it'll look, I think that'll look really good with just that one there, but I only have enough of this for one card. So I'm going to do that on one card. I really like this ribbon. I got this ribbon with a, at Walmart. I bought a pair of pajamas, and they were wrapped in this ribbon. So I thought that would be really cool to save it because it's so pretty. And obviously it's brand new because I just took it off the new pajamas. So I think for this one, I don't think I'm going to trim it down because it's not going to leave me much of an edge all the way around. But this silver really looks pretty with the tree. So I'm going to do that one. But first, I want to do something special to that tree. I want to make it pop. So I'm going to get out my cutting board. This is just a Fiskars self-healing mat. It's nothing fancy. If you don't have a self-healing mat, you can also use a cutting mat from your kitchen, or a clean cutting mat. You wouldn't want to use one that had meat or anything like that on it. And then just an X-Acto knife. I always make sure it's tight. And I'm going to cut that Christmas tree right out of there, just carefully. Just around the edge. I'm not going exactly around every little piece of the edge. I'm just getting it pretty close. There we go. All right, so then I have that Christmas tree cut out. And I'm just going to do that for the one. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere this down to the paper. I'm putting extra adhesive around that opening. Just so it sticks down and it doesn't buckle. All right. And then that goes there. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'll do this one here. I'll add this to it. Okay. And I think for that I could use just this adhesive here. And sometimes when I have a bend in the ribbon, I do this to try to help get that bend out. It sometimes helps, but sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to push that bend down first, just so there's not a crease there. There you go. And it doesn't show up too badly creased. I'm going to do my trick on the back where I run my adhesive all the way to the end of the ribbon. And I stick it down. This ribbon does fray, as you can tell, so it's very important when you're using a ribbon that frays to fold it across the back of your card. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and put it on this. And I like to put tape on top of that ribbon and then on the cardstock next to it, just to make sure it adheres down really good and it doesn't slip out from underneath. And then I will line up the top and the bottom. And with this type of adhesive, if you get any that where it doesn't belong, you just rub it with your finger and it rolls right off. So I'm going to get some sticky dots. Get some sticky dots and I will put them on the back of this Christmas tree. And since the bottom is kind of a line, I'm going to cut, I have a hair on there, I'm going to cut a line of them just to go on the bottom. There we go. It's not wanting to cooperate with me today. Okay, and then I'm going to put this Christmas tree raised up on there. There. So that gives it a little bit of dimension. And I might want to add something to the bottom of this. I have this trim, and I think that would go really nice on there. So I'm going to do that. I'll run a piece of this tape right along the bottom if it'll stick. There we go. And put this right on there. And then what I will do before I trim those edges off, I'm going to put my trick, my tacky glue. This is Aleene's tacky glue. And I'm going to put a little bit under each end just to help hold it together so the trim does not fray. And then I'm going to carefully trim this. I wouldn't put this in an envelope until it dries completely. There we go. And that glue on that end will help hold it. Just want to make sure I didn't glue my card shut. And it'll keep that trim from fraying. All right, and then we're going to do this card in a more traditional sense. I'm going to make this a little bit thinner, a little more narrow, so I get some more gold on the edge. And I'm going to take it off of this side here since the Christmas tree is already over that way. I'm just going to eyeball it. This is a great way to use up your stash, your scraps of things. Like I had this little piece of trim, perfect way to use up that piece. And that trim is going to be too big to fold behind this. It's too bulky. So I can go ahead and put this right down on the card base. Now you can do your card base any color for these. I just happened to pick white because I thought it would be a good contrast with the black and the gold. although it would look good on a black card base as well, but then you'd have to put something on the inside. There, so there we go, we'll have that. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 rows of this down. I'm going to take one of these ribbon lines and I'm going to cut it in half. And put half on each end because it's too long to do one. And I'm going to try to center it. It's missing one of its gems over here. No, I guess the gems are just every other piece, so it's not really missing a gem, but I'm still going to center it since I'm going to be throwing away the extra anyway. And I don't want to have to cut a gem. So I'll have one gem, there's one gem here, and then one gem here right on that end. So that works out pretty good. And I'll go ahead and cut. And I'll trim this. There. There we go. There's that one. Very pretty. I didn't want to add too much more dimension to this one since this is pretty chunky as it is. So we have 4 cards made from 2. We have these 2 and those 2, and these 2 are the same, but there you go, you get the idea. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button down in the bottom, and I will see you next time. Meanwhile, get crafting.